It is currently, look at the time, it's 10:20 where LAPD is circling in helicopter, and that's going toward the prosecution of the third party that you see on the screen, Waste Management. That's why the personnel who are driving these dumpster trucks, that's relevant for what is federal prison. So I want to make sure that I document that. The entity threatens your life and your safety as you expose the people of the state who are fully engaged in that criminal pattern of conduct with the demons that are making up the government in the state of California who are engaged in terrorism and surveillance. And so I want to be clear, Waste Management, I'm going to drain the pockets. The office of the corporate office is 800 Capitol Street, Suite 3000 in Houston, Texas. They are across state lines, while in California, their company is being documented engaging in terrorism with the state of California, threatening my life and facilitating that ongoing threatening conduct that I documented. And Waste Management, be clear, that employee which represents Waste Management, who are engaging in what is the function, the business of Waste Management, while simultaneously engaging in and facilitating the state government, who is threatening me with helicopter right now, which is speaking to cognizance. You are aware of the fact that you are being exposed, which is the state's pattern of conduct. So I want to be clear. The pattern within the pattern is present, and the pattern of conduct is ongoing. Waste Management is a documented terrorist engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, and as I expose that, the entity arrives pursuant to the P.O.C. in helicopter at 10:15 in the morning. This is directly relevant to the civil and criminal prosecution of the people of the state, that is Waste Management. And again at 10:19 a.m. This is relevant to the federal stalking. The state that's engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring is engaging in surveillance on communication devices and on the venue of the internet. I'm referencing Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2, as I am looking into what is the document, exactly what I mentioned in the video that I just captured, and we're going to review that together because I'm going to civilly and criminally prosecute. And I want to be clear, the workforce of Waste Management subject to federal prison while the entity threatens your life through a demon-possessed terrorist organization using helicopters and bearing weapons, stalking in police vehicles right now all around the property in relevant position, while the center of the universe is based on where I'm physically located, and the entity engages in what is threatening you by stalking in helicopters, which is exactly what happened 10:15 in the morning, 10:19 in the morning, and 10:20 if you're able to hear the amplified sound of the helicopter that the entity went out of its way to sound in the office. Waste Management is going to be prosecuted for that. Understand that. So Waste Management is witnessing its criminal exposure. It's civilly exposed to prosecution as well. I'm going to drain the pockets. While it is engaging in this criminal system, you will under all circumstances remain exposed to all of the aspects of justice requiring that you pay for the harms that you are inflicting in concert with that government who you are group stalking with. And you are indeed group stalking with the state, while those employees bearing your logo on the vehicles in relevant position engaging in the state's pattern of conduct. If you have an issue with that, take it up with the government who is group stalking through you and your company. It is beyond a reasonable doubt established what Waste Management is documented engaging in. And the entity is documented engaging in federal group stalking monitoring outside of the grounds of Alvarado Gardens. So like I said, Waste Management does not have a legally relevant argument. It will be civilly and criminally prosecuted. It is documented engaged in what is malice and impunity, heavily documented even outside of the property grounds of Alvarado Gardens, where the sun is never going to be present. And we're also inside of the depths of my apartment. I'm not able to naturally hear the sound of that dumpster inside and disrupting my quiet enjoyment in the ways in which the demonic behavior of Waste Management has engaged in today and what it engaged in on an ongoing basis, as I have continuously documented. And Waste Management representing the people. Understand, all of the demonic behavioral pattern is hereby enveloped within a logo name. So everything that you know about the pattern of conduct, everything you know about the demonic behavioral pattern, it's now applying to what you are identifying as a logo, because the people of the state use companies. Those are nothing other than demons that are operating vehicles, engaging in the business under a company name. So that demonic behavior, that demonic criminal conduct is hereby attributed to Waste Management, because that's what's extended in order to facilitate the state's pattern of conduct. And there is no coincidence where the entity begins engaging in the pattern within the pattern. And that is, as you document ongoing conclusive evidence that you are indeed a group stalker, while the state will arrive and directly engage in the pattern of conduct as you begin documenting the people of the state. Yes, further corroborating evidence against Waste Management. While my life is threatened, Waste Management is going to compensate me for that. Okay? While they are engaging in the elements of monitoring criminal conduct of a federal nature in concert with the state of California, you are engaging in public corruption. period. And you are affirmatively doing so, not passively. You are affirmatively engaging in the criminal system. And so that's a threat to my life, my safety, my well-being, my liberty. It's a threat while the entity engages in things such as damaging my personal property, invading my private space in doing so. This is the threat that waste management poses, and intentionally and knowingly so. Waste management is not a first-time offender, and you're not emptying garbage while the light source is over me and the sound in an impossible and unnatural manner is invading my office and my apartment. You are engaging in what is crossing a path, light activity creation, and exhibiting demon possession while that activity of using a dumpster truck is amplified wherever it is that I'm physically located. That's what you're engaging in terrorism. And so you are also doing that while the entity who was relying on your criminal conduct then directly arrives stalking in a helicopter. That is literally textbook P.O.C. And I'm going to prosecute Waste Management for the threat to my life that they pose while the government then comes around and threatens me again directly as I am documenting Waste Management, who is an established terrorist in the state of California. So I want to start all of that with regard to this is the corporate office headquarters, and I'm going to prosecute them while their corporate headquarters is in in the state of Texas, which is fine because this is within the jurisdiction of the federal government. So in addition to that, so I want you to see the logo because this is a terrorist, and Waste Management, nothing other than a template. You've seen Amazon Prime, you've seen UPS. Sunlight does not ricochet off of mailboxes and on asphalt. Okay, and UPS is acting with impunity. This same African-American, demon-possessed, third-party group stalker specifically arriving to communicate a repeated threat, fully aware of the fact that I documented him the first time, not getting enough, coming back, and the federal judge that's going to prosecute him and send him to federal prison is going to remember that. Going to look at all of those aspects of the pattern of conduct. Not only did he come and act with LAPD once, he came and acted with LAPD on more than one occasion. And that's speaking to how long he is worthy of sitting in federal prison. That's called impunity. So I want to be clear. The Waste Management is representing what all of the people of the state using any and everything. This is exactly what Speaker Companies is engaging in. So all you're doing is witnessing the same pattern of conduct. You can apply this template. The system is applying to whatever company name you want to reference. It's very clear that it's very likely that I've already documented them. It's very likely that I've already encountered this state system under the guise of some company name where you will see the same exact environment, the same exact demonic features, the same exact elements, the same exact pattern within the pattern. That is the state that will further add to the prosecution of the people by threatening me stalking in a helicopter. And that's exactly what LAPD provides. And this is how you are at the point of prosecuting yourself. This is all occurring under what is the fake sun that's over my head. Not the sun, not the natural environment where the sun is present, rising and setting. And that's what's starting as that's what's prefacing what I'm going to expose about what Waste Management was engaging in and who Waste Management is engaging in that pattern of conduct with. And it is the state of California who is indeed engaging in terrorism in the workplace, stalking in helicopter at 10:15, 10:19, circling at 10:20 as I begin capturing this video, because the entity that is keeping me under surveillance is also aware of what I'm reviewing on my phone, anticipating the evidence of stalking and demonic and demonic, which is terrorism, criminal conduct with the state of California. The entity that anticipates that will arrive in helicopter. That's exactly what you're seeing. And that's what I'm going to remind you about, because on the bottom here is what I captured regarding Waste Management's criminal conduct. You're not operating a legitimate business. You are engaging in the elements of monitoring. And this is the malice with which an entity engages in what is public corruption. And at this time, while I'm standing at the same location yesterday, is the ability to witness. And so this is the ability to witness exactly what I'm telling you, the fact that that's a demon driving a waste management vehicle, which becomes legally relevant, where the government is practicing demonic methods of keeping an American citizen under surveillance. They're acting in concert in the specific environment. They're doing so pursuant to demonic behavior, which is serving to reasonably and actually terrorize an American citizen, threaten their life and safety. And this same entity acts in concert with that government that engages in kidnapping, which, by the way, I remain subject to kidnapping on this day in 2022, where no sun is ever going to be at Alvarado Gardens over my head at this property or anywhere in Los Angeles while it remains over the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, where I remain kidnapped right now, which I documented upon my release from kidnapping, which I believe was June 22nd, 2022, where you will see the light source in alignment with my location of the room where I was kept, kidnapped. And after engaging in what is legally representing myself against the entity, which again, abuse of the Welfare and Institutions Code, I will go into that and other areas. Right now, I'm going to prosecute through my documentation waste management, which represents the people of the state, showing the specific environment and showing the pattern of threatening my life by stalking in a helicopter in a manner that I can perceive in order to intimidate and retaliate to threaten my life and safety in doing so. That are the demons that are LAPD stalking in a helicopter, making sure that they sound that helicopter while the light source is over me, while I'm surrounded by all of an entity that is demon possessed, acting in concert. That's all manner of a threat. That's in the workplace because I'm documenting waste management, which it knows because they're keeping me under surveillance on the internet via communication devices. You don't have a coincidence when I'm reviewing very damning evidence. They know exactly what I'm reviewing, and then the entity begins sounding helicopter. That's not a coincidence. That's called the pattern of conduct, and it is the pattern within the pattern. Nonetheless, I'm going to remind you what I documented yesterday afternoon, and I'll also remind you about what I documented as I'm walking at the same location where you see at the bottom. I'm at the same location at after 5 o'clock. And the entity that's sounding helicopter right now as I'm beginning this video at 10:15, 10:19, 10:20 is the same entity that was stalking in helicopter as I was walking, and the light source is still over me at the same physical location where I am today, and this was captured yesterday. And none of this is shared with the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. At no point is the sun going to be seen outside of the window of the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center in Colton, California, where this entity that's group stalking today, and it includes waste management. Waste management is a documented kidnapper because they represent the people of the state. And that kidnapper is still to this date engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct as an entity. This matter of public corruption includes kidnapping. And to date, after engaging in kidnapping, which it knows is documented, it still engages in the bold act of being documented while engaging in group stalking to date. And yes, the federal judge is going to keep that in mind when they are draining the pockets of waste management. Draining the pockets, draining them dry, which is justice. Because you cannot compensate or place a number on the amount of harm that an American citizen is suffering in silence when the entity seeks to obstruct justice by kidnapping you, which I've already been subject to by this same entity. Let me be clear, while kidnapping underway and the entity is driving me from West Valley Detention Center to the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, where there will be no sun right now at 10:32 in the morning. This is where I'm at on June 23rd, 2022. I'm at Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, not at Alvarado Gardens where the fake sun is over my head right now, which I showed you yesterday on video, which is the case right now. Okay, there's no sun over the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. That crime scene is where, let me be clear, the people of the state driving Bird Tech dumpster trucks are crossing path on the roads and the highways, group stalking. That's exactly what waste management is participating in. And I documented the people of the state. Okay, and let me be clear. Yes, indeed, Bird Tech is nothing other than a logo. The people of the state are group stalking under a fake sun that's over me, crouched through what is the window of Fontana Lewis Library that's facing Arrow during the 10 o'clock hour, and it's remaining over me here at Alvarado Gardens. Yes, Bird Tech is a group stalker exhibiting the same demon possession, while the desk inside of that Fontana Lewis Library desk, it's vibrating, and the sound of the dumpster truck is being amplified inside of the library while that fake sun is hovering directly above my head while I am looking outside of the window of the Fontana Lewis Library that faces Arrow. Okay, at the intersection of Sierra and Arrow. That's not the sun, and that is the demonic feature of amplification and sensational activity shaking, vibrating my desk while a demon is using a dumpster truck to engage in the elements of monitoring. This is a long documented pattern of conduct in the specific environment, and engineered light is captured all throughout the Fontana Lewis Library. There's no sun that's ever going to be over the Fontana Lewis Library visible out of any window when it's remaining over my head, not only now, but for the duration of the day, rising and setting. This is already the pattern of conduct. Bird Tech is just replace Bird Tech with waste management, replace Bird Tech or waste management with speaker companies, replace speaker companies with UPS, replace UPS with what is FedEx, replace FedEx with what is Amazon Prime. You can fill in with whatever company you want. The HOA on next door to Alvarado Gardens, Silverview Townhomes. They're group stalking, and it's a company name prosecuting, draining the pockets, facilitating federal group stalking and monitoring. This is the very expensive cost of engaging in terrorism in the United States, because we who are supposedly so civilized and so dignified, we make a lot of money in this country, and the entity wants to engage in terrorism in this country under the malicious guise of operating a business. Well, that business that you use to facilitate terrorism in the U.S., I'm going to drain the pockets of that business, which is not even approaching sufficient justice, but we'll start there. We'll start there. And those employees of those companies that are acting in concert in real time with those terrorist organizations such as the LAPD, you'll go to federal prison for that. Meaning you go from driving dumpster trucks to sitting in a federal penitentiary. That's what will happen. And I will get you by your work schedule. Let me be clear. The company, you're going to make a decision about what you're going to produce because you're going to produce who was driving that truck at that time, which is why documentation is so precious, because somebody's going to federal prison for it. You make a decision amongst yourselves. You decide, but someone's going. All right. So and I'm going to drain your pockets. That's how you're going to approach justice, engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring in the shoes of the state of California, and you are under no circumstances hiding your identity. You're not avoiding any identification or justice. Everybody at Alvarado Gardens is going to federal prison. Everybody at the corporate office of Speaker Companies is going to federal prison while I'm documenting you, the people of the state who are the same entity. You're the same one, who also are kidnapping on this day in 2022. That's how surrounded you are. So in federal court, I want to be clear, you're going to be surrounded with what is all of the aspects of justice, which includes draining your pockets, not because I want or need your money, because you're going to learn in this country today, at this time, for such time as this, we are not at a point in this country where the laws are so disintegrated, so dissolved, whereby there is no way to enforce my rights. That's not where we're at yet. We're not there yet. And today, in 2024, I'm going to prosecute you for the terrorists that you are. And I told you this, by the way, years ago when you were keeping me under surveillance and group stalking me, and I told you what was going to happen. I told you this already. So I'm going to reiterate what I already told you was going to happen, and it is going to happen. And the corporate office, whose address is in Texas, I'm going to drain the pockets of Waste Management, who are documented terrorists, who are engaging in the identical behavioral pattern that are the people of the state group stalking with the state of California, who provide evidence of their terrorism by using helicopters and stalking in police vehicles and engaging in kidnapping and criminal defamation, where the same pattern of conduct is ceaselessly underway, which is all attributed to the people of the state who are fully engaged in that pattern of conduct, fully from beginning to end, never ceasing to engage in that criminal system. And under no circumstances is Waste Management engaging in the lawful and legitimate operation of a business where you are in any way engaging in the elements of monitoring, where the state is engaging in the practicing federal group stalking and monitoring. And that's also evidence because the light source is over my head, because you are not coincidentally in the path, creating a method of light activity, nor engaging in what is amplification. That is the inability to naturally hear and disrupt the work environment while you are down at the hillside on Lobdell or any of those streets, sounding what is the heightened volume of a dumpster truck, which the entity engaged in remaining there. Let me be clear. I shot a 5-minute video. It's 5 minutes and 59 seconds. Waste Management completed the rest of that street and paced and went the opposite direction and got off of that street. However, when I'm sitting in my office and when I sit for a while and I continue to endure amplification, which is terrorism. Everything that you're hearing, everything that the entity is doing is terrorizing you. They're engaging in the elements of monitoring. So I sit in my office for a prolonged period and the entity is just maintaining presence. In other words, you're just sitting there in the path, repeatedly crashing dumpsters. Which, by the way, they're demons. They don't actually have to be in operation of the dumpster. I've shown you that. You've seen what Waste Management does. Amplification of the sound. They're not even emptying a dumpster and you're hearing the crashing sound. The plastic tops on the dumpster does not create this loud crashing sound of dumpsters. All those demons have to do are roll them off of the truck and drive themselves off the property. No sunlight or street lamps are going to create light activity on my ceiling inside of my apartment. That's a demon. Okay, there is no amplified sound of crashing dumpsters that's going to result while you're engaging in what is clearly just putting it on your truck and driving back and clearing it and removing it off your truck and rolling it into. That is something that should not disrupt sleep. It's not going to disrupt quiet enjoyment. It's not something that's creating loud, thunderous, crashing noises. That's amplification. That's a demon that's targeting, and they're also identified as targeting by being present in the environment because you've already established the specific environment. Everybody in the specific environment is doing the exact same thing. A demon that's driving a dumpster truck is engaging in the elements of monitoring and doing so in that specific environment and being documented, doing so. Waste Management is doing so, engaging in the sex offense, amplifying the sound of a crashing dumpster when they're not coincidentally in perfect alignment with me while the fake sun is over my head. They are stalking in the path. And that which that demon is engaging in, the activity that it chooses to engage in for purposes of targeting another, which is revealing the mental illness of that demon-possessed third party, that's a psychopath, Okay, that is engaged in group stalking as opposed to emptying dumpsters for as a business in the neighborhood. This is the malice with which a so-called dignified and civilized country is engaging in what is demonic methods of terrorism, keeping people under surveillance through demonic methods. That's what waste management represents. You do not have any ability to have a coincidence amongst Burtech and waste management. That's the pattern of conduct. Just so that you know what Burtech, this is another dumpster company having nothing to do with the natural environment. I've already documented the people of the state are going to have their pockets drained. Okay, because it costs a lot of money to engage in terrorism in this country. It's not only going to cost you money, you're going to be published as a terrorist, that the federal government is going to make sure the nation and the world knows who you are, and by the way, who you serve, and the criminal conduct that you engaged in the shoes of the state, maliciously so, using your business to facilitate terrorism. This is what you're about. This is what you actually want to make money doing at the same time. Showing the threat that you are to the public. You're not providing any service. You're no benefit. You're terrorists based on what you do and what you represent and who you're doing it with. And by the way, the one whom you're doing it with, the state, they're not the most intelligent entity. They continue to provide evidence against you. Okay, so this is where I'm located at the bottom at 10 o'clock in the morning. So let's look at where I'm located at 10 o'clock in the morning. Well, Carla Lopez's crossing path right here. And where's the light source? It's right here on the opposite side. So I'm documenting waste management. Waste management is group stalking. So I want to talk about what is prosecution of waste management. This is group stalking. Okay, that is amplified activity that's heard in my office with the windows and the doors closed. That's called amplification. Okay, the entity that's on the streets down here at the hillside, this is also that which I've already documented. Waste management, the demonic feature, crossing path, driving by 1826 Lobdell Place, and engineer light moved across that green gate. These are demons that are group stalking. This is already on the record. This is impunity that I'm documenting waste management engaging in at this point. Waste management knows that it was being documented when I was in Chino, California, and the fake one was over my head, and I was documenting them on my podcast, getting that license plate. Waste management, just because you do not understand and nor take seriously the warning that you've already been given, and I'm talking to the whole government when I'm referencing waste management. Remember, you're dealing with the demonic, you're dealing with an entity. You're talking about the ability to criminalize the government that's acting vicariously through the people of the state who use businesses to engage in the same exact elements of monitoring. That's what's going on here. Okay. So when I'm referencing waste management and they're aware of the fact, and they know that they've been documenting, you were group stalking me. I documented you then, and I'm documenting you now. And the company is engaged in a documented pattern. I'm going to drain the pockets of that company who you've already seen crossing path at 1826 Lobdell, where sunlight is never going to move ricochet off of the driver's side of that vehicle onto the gate of Lobdell Place at any time of day, nor is that the sun that would ever be over my head at Alvarado Gardens. But that's also what's coexisting when that act of a phenomenon, that's an act of terrorism, speaking to what waste management is indeed doing, targeting me. They're also targeting via amplification. They're also targeting while you're crossing path, even if the lights on the truck weren't on, even if they weren't engaging in demonstrating their demon possession by amplified sound of dumpster trucks. You're targeting in the environment while the fake sun is over me. This is the ability to understand and recognize all of it. But the entity goes to the extent to amplify the activity. You want to show that you're a demon. They go to the extent of stalking with engineered light. You want to show that you're a demon. You want me to drain your pockets. That's what you want. And you want to be known as terrorists in the nation, and that's going to go outside of the jurisdiction of the U.S. The world's going to know what you are and what you've been doing in the U.S. and what's actually going on in the U.S. They're going to know that by company name. So I just want to be clear. It's a matter of justice that you not only lose an exorbitant amount of money, but that you lose that reputation. Okay, because you represent a threat to the people as opposed to a service, a benefit to the American public. That's justice. So while I am subject to this amplification that's heard, and this is waste management that's in perfect alignment, stalking in the path, the light on the truck is light activity, and the entity is maintaining presence. Let me be clear, they've been sitting right here at this. You're witnessing the elements of monitoring. It's light activity, relevant positioning. They create light activity while the fake sun is over me, and they're driving an engineered light. Okay, the engineered light. Let me remind you what engineered light looks like. It's light that's levitating. There's no distinction between the light source that's remaining over me still at this point in the day, which I documented yesterday afternoon. It's right over my head inside of the laundry room onto the depths of the ground in between the wall. Oh, light that's levitating on the ceiling. This is engineered light that everybody's driving in. I give you this image of it because you need to recognize none of this is sunlight and it's not even the sun. So I give you this picture because this is the reality of what waste management is driving in. It's engineered light. You create light activity by walking in it, driving in it, screaming in it, riding your bike in it, playing tennis in it. Okay, reversing, putting your hazard lights on in it, engaging in what is crossing path while engineer light is also somehow ricocheting off of your car and onto surfaces. They're driving, moving all around. These are demons. They're crawling, creeping all around in engineered light. This is a demon that's operating a business, and it's going to cost them a lot of money while they engage in this. By the way, the federal courts, the federal government that's witnessing this, this is getting to deterrence. This is going to deter those that have a lot to lose. They will think twice before they act with a corrupt government who also gives evidence against them in federal court. Because that's exactly what the LAPD has provided against waste management, stalking in a helicopter, as I begin documenting and reviewing the evidence surrounding waste management, not at coincidentally at the same time, but which is the pattern within the pattern. That's going to serve for deterrence. This is engineer light that waste management is driving in. That's what they're driving in. And they're also flashing light in the engineered environment. These are serious federal offenses. It's facilitation. You're not operating a business. You're aiding the government and threatening the life and liberty and constitutional rights of an American citizen. That's actually what you're doing. And they do that maliciously, thinking that no one would be able to prove it, know it, that no one would listen to it. That's the malice with which the state of California engages in the pattern of conduct with the people of the state. A whole bunch of demons thinking no one's ever going to know, no one's ever going to believe you. That's what Satan thinks. That's what Satan thought. So I want to be clear. I'm showing you the light source. I'm here at the bottom. As I step outside of my leasing office. Location. I step outside of my leasing office. The leasing office is shared with this laundry room that I step inside of. You can see the light source is still over me at the same property. This is 2:47 in the afternoon. Let's just speak, just random off the top of my head. Oh yeah, 2:47 p.m. April 29, 2022, where Stephanie Ortiz, who was going to federal prison, engaged in criminal summoning. That is, she's calling. Okay, and I put that in air quotes because you're not calling the demons that are stalking in helicopters. You're engaging in summoning them as though you have any right to do so. You don't. You make up information. You're stalking in bathrooms, and then you're engaging in an act of hostility, obstruction of justice, such as drafting an employee warning notice when you are group stalking with the state. That level of malice is exactly what the federal judge is going to keep in mind when you are sentenced to your term in federal prison. All right? So Stephanie Ortiz that engages in criminal summoning on April 29, 2022. Oh, the light source remains over me as I walk to 7-Eleven at Juniper and Sierra in Fontana, California. And you will witness on video what are a demon-possessed law enforcement agency stalking. While engineered light moves across a white van, that's the people of the state, group stalking with the state. And the state is stalking directly, wearing badges, bearing weapons, light source over my head. There's no sun that's going to be over me. Visible through the window of the laundry room in Los Angeles while it's in its zenith over the top of my head. In Fontana, outside of the 7-Eleven at Juniper and Arrow. And let me be clear, Officer McMillan is documented at Sierra and Arrow, same block, okay, feet away at 9 o'clock in the morning. There's, like I said, no provision within the natural environment that the sun is ever going to be anywhere in Los Angeles, let alone over my head at Alvarado Gardens, ever, 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 ever. Okay, so I want to be clear. That's what's already on the record when the entity is maintaining a light source over my head, which you see through the window of the laundry room, which is, again, the same location where I'm at right now while waste management is engaging in the pattern of conduct that the people of the state engage in. They share in practice in the elements of monitoring. They all do so in the specific environment. And while the light source is covered up, meaning and what an ignorant person would identify, oh, it's just a cloudy day, they are maintaining the elements of monitoring by stalking in the path, which is what Kim was doing this morning while they're using their vehicle, backing out of their parking spot as I walk into my leasing office. Their parking spot, this one right here, is in perfect alignment with my office door while they're stalking in the path as I walk from my apartment this morning to my leasing office. And you'll see that that's already documented. I documented everybody who was maintaining presence in the path while they're stalking all as one as I walk downstairs to the leasing office, engaging in surveillance, in other words, as an entity. And those are demons that do that. They're demon possessed, the whole property. And everybody's going to federal prison for that. Everybody that lives on the property is going to federal prison. So like I said, the light source is over me at 2:47. This is the same location where I'm at down here. All I'm doing is showing you waste management. My office And you will see where I'm standing. This is the light source that's over my head at 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's nowhere near the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. So let me go back a little bit so you can see that. What is the light source that's over me? I am looking at, and while this I'm inside is the same leasing, this literally this window right here. I am looking out the same laundry room up here. This is inside of this laundry room. Let's just show you so you see exactly where I'm at. I am looking outside of the window. I want you to see. I'm going to go to the front. This window right here. There's a window right here. That's the window that I'm facing right here. This is the laundry room that I'm inside of. This is the laundry room that I'm standing outside of this morning at 10 o'clock. And the light source is over the top of my head inside of this laundry room at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The light source is remaining directly over my head. And so I'm going to face the direction so you can see the window that I am referencing, because this is there it is right over the top of my head. First of all, the light source, not the sun. That would still be over, and it's in its zenith over the top of my head. Let's look at the time. This is 2:47, and it's not over my head and Fontana, where the Fontana Police Department are group stalking. Which is what I documented while Stephanie Ortiz engaged in criminal summoning in the shoes of the state. This is what the people of the state routinely engage in. Okay, I want to use this laundry room documentation because I'm inside of it and I'm standing outside of it. Outside of the laundry room is the essentially the same location. So I just want you to be able to see. Give me 1 second. And the entity knows how powerful this evidence is, and that's why they engage. All they can do is sound helicopter. The more that they sound, this is the window. That's it right there. This window right here is where I am standing. Oops. Oh my goodness. Sorry. It's where I'm standing, where I am showing you I want you to hear that, because I'm going to prosecute Waste Management. Because this is the criminal conduct they're engaging in, 1051. And the fake sun is over me. Alrighty, and this is where the light source remains, because that's where I'm capturing the entity stalking in helicopter still while the light source remains over me. So the demon possession of the LAPD, that's the state of California, is already established, already known. They're stalking, and they're stalking with the people, which is what Waste Management is doing. While the light source is over me, and I am showing you this window right here. Here we go. Sorry. Okay, this is the window oh my goodness, that's the window that I'm standing outside of right now. I'm sorry. So this is the window that I'm standing. I'm inside of this laundry room at 2 o'clock, at 2:47 in the afternoon. And you're looking at where is the, that which is not possibly the sun. It's right over the top of my head, which is what I'm showing you. This is relevant to the demon possession that is legally relevant while the state is stalking in a helicopter, providing evidence against the people of the state that are operating a business that is Waste Management while it's engaging in the criminal system in concert with the state. That is within the specific environment. And just in addition, Waste Management specifically has been documented engaging in this criminal pattern of conduct even before I've documented their continuous engagement, which is impunity, relevant for draining the pockets for damages, which again, you cannot compensate for engaging in terrorism in the shoes of the government. But again, we will address it. We will try to approach that. Okay, you're talking about what has never been contemplated before under federal law. This level of criminal conduct and corruption by a government. What Waste Management is engaging in is also relevant to RICO charges, by the way. But I'm speaking to an American citizen's ability to enforce their own rights, while the government that is, again, conclusively stalking 1015, 1019 to 1020, circling in 1051 a.m. This is on the watch of Waste Management, who I am documenting, because the entity is threatening my life while I'm documenting the people of the state. Who you are documenting while that, let me be clear, Waste Management is threatening you. The people of the state are threatening you. It's the same pattern. As I document Heather Till, the entity will fly over my head in a helicopter as though you're going to drop bombs on me. Heather Till's going to federal prison for that. In addition, because she's acting in sync with that entity that routinely stalks in helicopters. In addition to the fact that she engaged in a documented act of obstruction of justice, drafting an employee warning notice while you're a whole demon-possessed group stalker. That's very foolish. She's going to federal prison. While I'm documenting Waste Management, I'm documenting her, I'm documenting speaker companies, I'm documenting the people of the state. Okay, so because waste management is who's being documented, the entity is engaging in what is heavier helicopter activity. That terrorism in the name of waste management is going to cost waste management money, and you have people that will go to federal prison for what the entity is doing as one. The government's relying on the people of the state. You're not protecting the people of the state by threatening my life, stalking me in a helicopter. You're incriminating them, and I'm going to include that in the documentation. Everything that the entity does, it's going to be used against it. All right. And it's occurring in a specific environment. The entity is focused on me, focused on everything that I'm doing, every syllable that I utter. While I am inside of this laundry room, I'm standing beside of this window right now at 10 o'clock in the morning in this video. There is no iteration of the natural environment where I step out of the side of this laundry room, which I'm doing on video, captured yesterday at 2:47, where there is no natural environment in Fontana that the sun would be over my head and it's zenith like it's already on the record on April 29, 2022. As I step out of this laundry room, which is the same location where I'm standing outside, down here today at 10 o'clock, where waste management is documented engaging in terrorism, surveillance with the state, exhibiting demon possession in doing so. Let me step out of this laundry room so you can see the light source that's over my head in the same position, where you're aware of the engineered light that waste management is actually driving in while creating a method of flashing light. They're driving an engineered light. They're engaging in the elements of monitoring while amplifying the activity of a dumpster truck in order to monitor and facilitate everybody else around me, which is terrorism as well. You're enabling everyone else around me and enabling the government. This is the light source that's over me while I'm standing outside of the same location where I am at now. So on this video down here at 10 o'clock, let me go to the same location. Step inside of my office, and this is where I'm standing at 10 o'clock this morning outside of the same laundry. This is the light source that's over me at 10 o'clock. And this is what you're looking at when I'm standing at the same position outside of the laundry room. And this is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. This is why the entity goes to the extent, which is foolish, because it's going to be used as evidence against the entity, the people of the state who are indeed beyond a reasonable doubt established as terrorists. In America, terrorism is occurring under the false guise of being dignified and civilized, having businesses, owning businesses, operating businesses, living in your mansions, living in your I would like to say your well-off neighborhoods, those with a higher socioeconomic status, making is considered, and I put this in air quotes because it's all ridiculous and it's all absolutely irrelevant, and it's also legally irrelevant. But I've been in the neighborhoods where they've got a higher income level. You're making 200, 300,000 a year and you're group stalking, and the entity is stalking me in helicopters. The light source is over my head. You've got a Jaguar parked in your driveway and you're group stalking, and it's conclusive with regard to what you are and what you're doing. And as I document you, the entity will arrive with simultaneity in a helicopter, begin sounding sirens. That's all of the state's pattern of conduct. So I want to let you know, the entity is surrounded by what is all of the identical P.O.C, pattern of conduct. And in that specific environment is where the pattern of conduct is underway. The pattern of conduct is within the specific environment, period. The specific environment, in other words, the demonic, is present because that criminal system is occurring. You are not driving a dumpster truck, engaging in anything lawful. The entity is under the demon possessed are so deluded. You think that you can, in the face of that targeted individual, terrorize them, and number one, that they'll not know, so you're delusional now because it's known, and secondly, that you can engage in it and nobody will be able to recognize it, which is relying on the fact that you think a federal government and the federal judge is going to disregard this body of evidence. You're delusional, which is also revealing your mental illness. In addition to the evidence, the corroborating evidence speaking to what you are and what you're doing, while the state is stalking and harassing and terrorizing and threatening me, while I am documenting what you want to be believed as innocent conduct. The entity is stalking in helicopters. You're delusional. Okay? So the entity is engaging in an ongoing, concrete pattern of conduct. Okay? It is P.O.C, textbook P.O.C. And within this unnatural environment, it's exactly what I'm speaking to. Waste management is indeed engaging in the elements of monitoring, and it's also engaging in what is facilitation. While I'm standing at the same front door of the laundry room, this is the same location where I am yesterday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. 2:47 to be exact. So let's count the hours. 10, 11, 12, 1, 4 hours from now, the entity engages in conduct such that you are supposed to be ignorant about the elements of monitoring that you're focusing on, as opposed to the appearance of a logo and the operation of a business, separate and distinct from the ways in which that is occurring and the environment where it's occurring. That's where this public corruption is going to be identified. It's called malice. And it's called demonic activity. It's what the state of California is drowning in. Okay, and this is what the reason why this corruption is occurring here in the States, which is relevant to what's occurring here in this nation. It is the death, and I want to be clear, this nation has killed itself. It has brought on its own demise. And this is revealing the criminal conduct that a government in the United States is going to be prosecuted for. And it's shown through what is the unnatural environment. Under no circumstances is Waste Management avoiding federal prosecution for terrorism with the state of California, who was also group stalking at 10:15, 10:19, 10:51 to threaten my life, which I'm going to hold Waste Management accountable for because I'm documenting them and they are fully facilitating that pattern of conduct where the entity threatens your life as you expose the criminal conduct that it is engaging in. Waste Management is going to suffer civilly and criminally for that, and that's a matter of justice. This is what all the people of the state are doing. Just because Kum Lee can't afford to pay me damages for what she's facilitating in concert with the state, it does not in any way, under any circumstances, mean that I cannot recover from the people of the state who want to use their business to engage in the exact criminal conduct, the exact same elements of monitoring, in the exact same environment. If Kum Lee had a business that she was using to engage in the pattern of conduct, by all means, I will drain the pockets of that business because she's extending to the state whatever she has at her disposal, which is what the people of that's their role. Because they want to appear dignified and civilized here in the U.S. It's the most despicable form of corruption. There are no less animals than those that are, again, across the seas in third world countries, teaching children to engage in terrorism, to kill, murder people in the name of whatever cause. We're not distinct from that. We're not different from that. It's more disgusting and nauseating because we call ourselves free, because we want to be under the illusion, the fallacy of freedom. In the name of freedom, they're group stalking you. Literally. They're in the name of freedom. This is not true freedom. This is called malice. This is called abuse of the laws that are currently on the books, and it's under abuse by literally the government itself. It does not. You cannot suffer any greater form of betrayal, which is why also, the government should not be your God in dictating what goes on in your personal life. But like I said, outside of violating the laws, I mean, when the government itself is violating the laws on the books. Okay, you're talking about what should not be the moral compass regarding what's right or wrong as it relates to morality. Okay, that's not the accurate compass whatsoever. So I just want to point this out. This is what I'm preparing to show. And not only is this location speaking to where the entity is maintaining the elements of monitoring, the same laundry room relevant to who's arriving today, Wednesday. This is what Smart Janitorial is engaging in. They're inside of this laundry room while the light source remains over me all day long, beating on the walls pursuant to what I do. Those demons are just going under the name of Smart Janitorial, group stalking in the laundry room while they're cleaning it, pacing all over the property while they're cleaning it, and the entity is still stalking it. It's the same exact pattern of conduct. This is the ability of a demon-possessed population to act as one. Those demons are in sync. There's no difference between what they're doing. All they're doing is literally changing uniforms, if you will. The uniforms of Waste Management, the uniforms of speaker companies, the uniforms of the residents of Alvarado Gardens, the uniforms of companies that are coming onto the grounds and delivering food and providing taxi services, the uniforms of those that are pacing in the sky space in commercial airline planes, the uniforms of those that are coming onto the ground, delivering the mail, delivering packages. They're the same demon-possessed entity, and you're looking at no difference of the unnatural environment, and then you are looking at what ties them all together, their behavioral pattern. It's the same exact formula. Where the entity wants to use in the United States, since you want to be so dignified and civilized while you engage in barbaric and animalistic behaviors, terrorizing American citizens because you serve Satan, it's going to cost you money. That's how you also get justice in supposedly dignified and civilized land. It costs a lot of money. In fact, it requires draining the pockets. Okay. And that's as a matter of justice. Okay. Like any other civil court would punish that which is poisoning. You're serving food and you're poisoning the public. Okay. Well, you deserve to be liable for that. And it's tortious conduct. And there are damages, treble damages that are commensurate with the harms inflicted. Okay. I'm not speaking anything that's foreign. So you're talking about that which has never been contemplated under federal law. Now you have the people of the state are exposed as terrorists. And they're using their companies, and they're actual terrorists. They're not even legitimate, reputable, valuable companies. They're terrorists. This is the unfortunate truth. And if you want to engage in terrorism with the state, you're going to pay the penalties for doing that, for being that. And it's not only civilly, but it's also criminally. You will be going to federal prison. If I document you and you are engaged in the P.O.C., those demons in the helicopters are telling on you, and you're going to federal prison for it. This is speaking to what is the expiration date of this so-called secret society. That secret has long expired. That criminal system is fully exposed, and it is at the point now of implosion. You are telling on each other in the specific environment, engaging in the elements of monitoring together. You're telling on each other, and it has real consequences. In the specific environment, you are engaging in the elements of monitoring while the sound of a dumpster truck and light activity creation are fulfilling the elements of monitoring in concert with the state that's engaging in surveillance, while that which is not the sun remains over me for the duration of the day, while I'm looking at standing in front of the same door in front of the laundry room opposite my leasing office at 10 o'clock in the morning, documenting waste management. This is understanding greater context of what waste management is engaging in and what it's facilitating, and the nature, the condition of that third party operating that waste management vehicle. This is directly relevant for the civil and criminal prosecution of waste management. And I'm speaking to and prescribing the treatment of all of the people of the state and all of their forms, all iterations of the pattern of conduct that they're facilitating in concert with the state. Okay, so this is exactly what I advocate. This is exactly what is part and parcel regarding approaching justice where an American citizen is being terrorized in the U.S. in concert with that population. Okay, so in addition to where I'm at, where I'm documenting waste management on the bottom at 10 o'clock, that's not the sun that will be over me. At 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's still here, which is exactly what I documented yesterday, at 2:47, that's not the natural environment. Waste management is a documented terrorist, and it exceeds documentation beyond Alvarado Gardens, by the way. But showing the specific environment is showing you what waste management is doing, and that's beyond a reasonable doubt, by the way. In addition to that, while I am at the same location, walking from my office, let's recall what I documented at the same location. This is exactly what you're seeing while I walk outside of my leasing office, which is what I'm capturing here at 5:01 p.m., which is I'm coming to the same location where I'm at here, documenting waste management in relevant position. Group stalking while they're at a great distance. They don't want to quietly engage in their job. You want to be documented? Well, you want to be prosecuted, period. You want to be prosecuted? That's fine. It's equal opportunity with regard to justice for engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. It's equal opportunity. So the entity is engaging in what is maintaining a light source. As I walk outside, I'm looking at the same laundry room right here. This is the door I'm standing in front of right here at 10 o'clock in the morning while I am walking from my leasing office. Okay, this is why you document. As I walk from this side, the light source is remaining over me step by step. The light source moves as I move. And this is second by second, 5:01 and 13 seconds. As I get to the laundry room part, this is the light source and it's still over me. That's not the sun, nor is that the sun that waste management is engaging in what is perfect alignment with me as I step outside of my office, as they are present, creating prolonged audible activity that's disrupting me even inside of my office where the windows and the doors close, where they are down at the hillside, where, by the way, them driving their vehicles on those streets will never create any sunlight moving across 1826 Lobdell Place, the Green Gate, where they're communicating a threat in doing so. They're doing today while I'm inside of the workplace. They're also a documented sex offender, monitoring me while the sound of a dumpster that's down at the bottom of the hillside driving along Effie Avalon Lobdell Place, where they're maintaining perfect alignment with me as I walk out and document them stalking, group stalking. That's what group stalking is. Okay, and they're doing so on behalf of the government while the light source is over my head, not the sun. The light source is over my head, and inside of the depths of my bedroom, you know where my bedroom is because I'm documenting the state of California very heavily inside of my apartment. My bedroom is on the opposite side of any living room of my living room window that's facing the hillside. You can't hear them emptying their garbage while they are on the hillside. That's called amplification, and that's how you also know a demon is targeting you. Waste management has literally engaged in every demonic feature of the pattern of conduct, and I'm going to drain the pockets. So what the entity is doing here is maintaining presence in the specific environment. So let me remind you about what they're doing. They are indeed group stalking. They're doing their part within the state's pattern of conduct as the people of the state, extending their business for purposes of its pockets being drained. And I'm going to reach all the way out to Texas, and I'm going to prosecute that corporate office for what that company is engaging in, facilitating. And also let me let you know, just as an aside, it's not ignorantly so. This is what's going on in this country. This is what's going on throughout the state of California. And it's not only Waste Management, Burtech, the people of the state, they are waiting their prosecution because I documented them engaging in kidnapping on the roads and the highways. They were monitoring me while the entity was kidnapping me, taking me from West Valley to the crime scene of Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, where there's no sun over that courthouse. That's why I went on June 23rd to document that, to keep that on the record. They are indeed group stalking at that courthouse, and they indeed engaged in what is kidnapping on more than one occasion. And as I went to the extent to document the people of the state, crossing path, group stalking with the state, that's engaging in a kidnapping. You're a kidnapper while you're engaging in the elements of monitoring in concert with the state in the specific environment while a kidnapping is underway. And they know that. This is the threat that the people of the state are. These demons derive pleasure from the suffering of another. They're satiated, all right, while they secretly engage in targeting someone in ways in which no one else is supposed to know. This is what's actually going on in the state of California. They were all kidnapping, and all the demons were monitoring and group stalking me while they were kidnapping me, driving me from the West Valley Detention Center to the court that is Rancho Cucamonga, where the entity kept that fake sun over that courthouse, by the way, from morning as I was driven there from in 7 in the morning approximately, leaving me there, keeping me in a cell, not taking me to any court hearing, making up information regarding court hearings as to why they were keeping me in jail for so long. They were making up the entire procedure. All they did was drive me to the court, which they knew I was using the cameras to document that. I was referencing the security cameras. All they do is they have me on the cameras. I never enter courtrooms because they knew exactly what I was exposing about them. And I'm going to prosecute them for that. There are people that are going to federal prison for what I'm documenting here about waste management and at Alvarado Gardens. The entity kept that light source over that courthouse while they then drove me back to the West Valley Detention Center, where I never got any court hearing that day. And they kept me in jail for a prolonged period, making up information upon criminal defamation by the entity that made up the information to create, quote unquote, probable cause in the first place they're kidnapping from the beginning to the end. Yes, people are going to federal prison, and yes, they're going to drain the pockets of waste management. This is the state's pattern of conduct. This is the threat that the people of the state pose to your safety, your liberty, your well-being, psychologically tormenting you, amplifying the sound of a dumpster while you're down on the hillside. I shouldn't even know that you're there. But the reason why I do is because they're engaged in the P.O.C. That's why. That's why engineer lights moving across 1826 Lavender Place while they're just supposedly innocently driving down the street. No, the federal government knows better. The federal government knows better than that. Any common sense, any 5-year-old child, by the way, would know better than that. Sunlight's not doing that at any time of year, ever. And you don't even have the benefit of establishing that that's the natural environment, that's the sun that's over me, that I'm also documenting while you're engaging in the elements of monitoring. All right. So this is how I have at what is 5 o'clock in the evening, 5:01, while I'm walking past, I'm looking at the same laundry room. That's not the sun that's over me while waste management is group stalking at 10 o'clock in the morning. That's the light source speaking to the criminal engagement and the elements of monitoring, facilitating the government's engagement in federal group stalking and monitoring, which you're going to be prosecuted for. You don't have a legally relevant, I didn't know, and all I was doing was this. I don't even know the location. I have no clue what you're taught. It's all legally irrelevant. It's all legally irrelevant. You don't have a constitutionally based argument. And I'm going to prosecute you civilly and criminally. The entity is engaging in this. This is how public corruption looks, by the way, and this is how public corruption acts. And as I am documenting the maintenance of the light source that is still over me at 5 o'clock in the evening, which is under no circumstances the specific environment, which is under no circumstances shared with the courthouse. Let me be clear, as I captured this at 10 o'clock and it's currently 11:13, there's no sun that's ever over the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. You already know where it's at by virtue of looking at this evidence. It's remaining over me from 10 o'clock till after 5 o'clock in the evening while I'm at the same exact location on the property. Okay? And this is who you have group stalking while I document that. The entity that's sounding helicopter activity at 10:15, 10:19 to 10:20, circling it, amplifying at a greater volume to communicate a higher threat, threaten me even more so, which is never stopping the documentation. That's revealing the mental illness of the government that's going to be prosecuted, disbanded, removed from law enforcement, published as terrorist in the U.S., exposing what's going on in the United States. All right, providing what is new grounds of realizing our involvement in international affairs on the world scene, by the way. Because we can't even handle our own affairs here. America is terrorizing its own citizens. We have no legitimate place in the involvement of what's going on outside of our borders. And that's just the truth. It's just the truth. While you're serving Satan, it would benefit you to keep us out of what's going on with you. And I'm going to digress there. But the entity is sounding helicopter activity at 10:51 a.m. And the entity engages in the same exact pattern that's incriminating waste management today on June 19, 2024. Arriving in helicopter, amplifying the sound of that helicopter was simultaneous to my capturing the impossible. The fact that the sun is never going to be present over the same location, over me, the same person. And all I do is point my camera up in the sky and let me show you what's still remaining, that which is not possibly the sun. Speaking to the condition of the population that surrounds me and the criminal behavior that they are engaging in concert with one another and the state. And it is federal group stalking monitor. It's demonic activity. And it's occurring in the workplace. And I'm going to drain the pockets of speaker companies. And I will repeat again, Heather Till's going to federal prison. Okay? This is LAPD. Hold on. Let me rewind that so you can hear it. This is the entity amplifying helicopter as I'm capturing the fake sun that's over me. Yes, Dominic Choi and the terrorist organization that are the LAPD. In concert with the people all day long while I take the same trail I took at 2:33 in the afternoon while Sang Lee was being a demon stalking in a laundry room on behalf of that corrupt law enforcement agency. That's why you see the light source. This is the light source that's literally on one side of my person. This is what you see as it's on my left. This is a general reference of the sun that's supposedly in the east. And this is what you see at the top at 5:01 in the evening, where the entity is engaging in the pattern within the pattern. Oh, the entity will arrive in helicopter, audibly, visibly, crossing path to communicate a threat, and it is also reasonably construed as such, where the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct and is also aware that you're documenting, which is also established with the P.O.C. is not engaging in an ongoing pattern of just coincidentally stalking in a helicopter or arriving in a helicopter as I'm documenting the fact that I'm subject to heavy helicopter activity. This is pursuant to real-time knowledge of what I'm doing, not only in relevant position, but also on the venue of the internet on my communication device, which is an already established pattern of conduct by the state. So you're engaging in surveillance in relevant position and online. That's in violation of Title 18. What you're looking at here, while I'm up here at the top at 5 o'clock, walking outside of my office, which is the same location where I'm here down here at 10 o'clock, where waste management is engaging in its pattern of conduct in the shoes of the state, fulfilling its role. You have a whole population, all they're doing is fulfilling a role on an ongoing basis, an ongoing cycle of the elements of monitoring every move I make, every place, everywhere that I'm going, everything that I'm doing, including on my cell phone, including on my laptop, including as I'm watching television in my apartment, including while I'm at work on and using the business phone, which is what you're hearing. It's audible activity creation. It's federal stalking, which is why I'm documenting them. And that's speaking to impunity. You'll find yourself in federal prison. Just want to point that out. While the entity is also monitoring me on the communication device in the office. It's all Title 18 criminal conduct. Heavy surveillance in a specific environment, where you're looking at the light source on the bottom on my east side, and you're looking at the light source at the top on my west side while I am at the same physical location. That's not the sun, ladies and gentlemen. That's the specific environment. That is also the evidence of demon-possessed people who are group stalking in an environment that you are now made aware of, because that which is as a matter of evidence, this is proof of that which is a scientific impossibility. As I capture it in evidence for your eyes to see, you are made aware of what's above your head wherever you're at, because it's not the natural environment. It is not proof of the natural, oh, that's the sun. No, you are confirming what I'm showing to you. The fact that it is not the sun that will remain stationary over me at one location for the duration of the day, hours later, and also it's also incapable of being the sun over you wherever you're at. And this is very exclusive. This is the sun that's not even going to be over the Silverview townhomes, based on what I'm doing, but based on my evidence. But what is the entity doing? As I move, the fake sun moves. That's how you get this type of behavior. Here, remember at 2:33 in the afternoon, remember this morning during the 11 o'clock hour, I'm at the same property and I told you what was happening while it's over the top of my head. Hours later now it's... So let me show you. 5 o'clock and it's right. That what you just saw is this side. I'm facing this side of the sky. The light source just moved from this side on the bottom to this side at the top, the right side of my person, the west side, in other words, of my person. Here over me at the same property, this is what the entity is doing. It's rising. That's exactly what I'm talking about. This is profound right here. You're looking at the same exact sky space, the same set of trees. Okay. This is building 1808 and in between the laundry room. And this is at the top, building 1808 in the laundry room. So up at the top at 5 o'clock in the evening, the light source is on behind me, which is my west side down here at the bottom, while I'm standing at the same exact location. Building 1808 is on what would be my left side, and my right side is right here at the laundry room. That's the door that I'm standing in front of, and the light source is on what is my east side. And this is what you're looking at as I'm able to capture it for you to witness. This is the so-called behavior that I've done, not the so-called, this is the so-called natural environment. The sun is not a stationary object that's going to be captured on the east side and west side of my person from the beginning to the end of the day. The sun is not rising and setting from the east to the west side of my person, even as I capture my person being at the same location, same address at the end of the day. That's not the sun, that's not the natural environment, and it is not the sun that's over you. Based on the rules of how the natural environment operates, that's evidence of non-movement, meaning there is not possibly a sun, the exclusive sun, the gaseous ball of fire that's in constant movement is captured as a matter of evidence, not moving. And while it's not moving, because there's only one, it's not over you. It's not over you when you are next door at Silverview Townhomes. And I'm not talking to the people that say, because those are all group stalkers, but I'm referencing just as a matter of evidence. This is very exclusive while I'm standing in front of the laundry room between building 1808. It's not over Silverview Townhomes. It's at the same exact location where I stand at the property. And it's also not over you in Mississippi. It's also not over you and where you are in Northern California, in Yosemite, in Issape, in Sacramento, whatever the name of the city, it's remaining right here over. It's very exclusive. And this is the ability to hone in on what the state is doing and how the state is doing it and what it exposes about the state as it does it. This is an entirely unnatural environment. This is revealing what is the reality, the fact that Satan is real, Satan is a spirit, Satan uses people, referencing demon possession. The demonic behaviors of the people of the state is speaking to their demonic activity that they're engaging in that demonic environment. This is how you have the ability to look at what's above your head, because it's not the sun. This is not the natural environment. Okay, and that's what you're witnessing as I capture this on video. Remaining over my head all day long and then setting, which is so this is the light source while I'm at the same property. I'm at the same physical location. I'm facing the hillside at 10 o'clock and I'm facing the parking lot at the same location in front of the laundry room at 5 o'clock, where the entity is stalking in a helicopter, arriving because it's monitoring everything that I'm capturing, exposing it and the people of the state on video, which is evidence against the people of the state. It is the pattern within the pattern, and I'm going to drain the pockets of waste management for threatening my life with the state of California, who is threatening me, my life and my safety and my well-being, because I'm documenting the criminal conduct of waste management, which is what the people of the state are doing on an ongoing basis. The state is threatening with the people. Waste management's threat is the state that is posed while the stalker is in a helicopter. Understand that. It's a superficial separation to see the entity stalking in a helicopter and the entity stalking in a dumpster truck. They're one. They're one. Okay? So it's an intentional threat. It's a threat that's documented as a matter of what is a pattern, and the entity is doing it through a population. And this is also relevant to what's going on amongst the population. Demon possession, rampant, rampant. This is why you have a light source that remains over me while I'm on public transportation in Ontario, California, Fontana, Rancho Montclair, where there's never going to be any sun ever, while it's over me from 10 o'clock till 5 o'clock at the same location at one property. This is how you're going to prosecute the state of California. It's entirely demonic. It is out of the pit of hell. And this is the criminalization of that demonic activity that the state of California wants to practice. And it's only revealing more and more the public safety concern that exists while the demon possessed are in the role of government and are delusional at this point of exposure of its criminal system that's no longer a secret. Your mental illness is also not a secret because you're delusional at this point. You're delusional. All right, it is currently 11:23 a.m. The light source remains over me, and inside of this laundry room, not waste management, but I mean, right, legally speaking, it is waste management, because waste management represents the people of the state. Specifically, within the entity that are the people of the state, Smart Janitorial is group stalking on the grounds under the light source in concert with LAPD, who are already providing evidence against them. They're stalking in helicopter. Okay, no federal court, no analysis of any law is going to disregard the fact that the state is an established stalker. 1015, 1019, 1051. While I'm documenting, they are still group stalking with the LAPD, while a Smart Janitorial, which represents the people of the state, are indeed in the laundry room. Demons that know that they're being documented, beating on the wall like every other third party that lives at the property. You're talking about what's an exchange of bodies. It's just a different body, different face, same demon possession, same demonic behavioral pattern, same demonic environment, Same vicarious criminal activity, in other words. And these employees whose license plate is already documented, so let's go ahead and get that because they're going to federal prison. And this is exactly what I'm speaking to. While they act with impunity, you want to beat on the laundry rooms, you want to go to federal prison, which I've already exhibited. You're not operating any lawful business. Smart Janitorial is engaging in the pattern of conduct, just like Waste Management, just like speaker companies, and they are systematically facilitating the state's pattern of conduct of terrorism, and you go to federal prison for that. That is every Wednesday and Friday. They are in relevant position, acting with the entity that is heavily stalking in helicopters as I enforce my constitutional rights to not be subject to terrorism, surveillance by the state of California having no legitimate basis to do so. Maintenance of presence in the laundry room is just like what Joan Kim is doing. It's just like what Marina Davila, what Delia Meradiaga are doing while they're group stalking in the laundry room, beating on the walls, maintaining presence. They're pacing back and forth while the entity's stalking in a helicopter, while the entity keeps the fake sun over that laundry room like I just showed you on video. It is all of the P.O.C. And therein lies the ability to recognize the bigger picture, the forest from the trees. This is a system that's underway. And so you have what is the demon possessed? Oh, they're all acting in teamwork. And they don't have to get up and have a meeting about, I'm going to go here at this time. They're acting pursuant to what is a matter of public corruption. And what ties them all together is their demonic behaviors, the identical conduct that's shared amongst people that have different personal identities. This is how you're recognizing demonic activity. And it's that which is in concert with those that are demons that are driving police vehicles and flying in helicopters. They're exhibiting the same behavior. This is how you're recognizing demons. This is relevant because the government is stalking you while they're following in helicopters. The government is keeping you under surveillance in that demonic environment, which they all share with that demonic behavior. This is how you're recognizing the system of federal group stalking and monitoring. All right. Now, it is quite intricate. My ability and my endeavor is to show what is the indistinguishable pattern of conduct amongst a multiplicity of faces. And so then you get down to how do you treat this? There's the problem. Then what? I've also presented the resolution. Okay, so you are speaking to the entity that provides facilitation on a repeated, systematic, ongoing basis, which is impunity and malice, such as Smart Janitorial, who are engaging in relevant positioning and audible activity creation. And they do so with impunity. You're not operating a business. You're engaging in the malice that are the people of the state, group stalking with the state. And your work schedule is no legal argument. You're also engaged in federal stalking. So you're talking about being delusional where you think that you're working at this point because the whole system is exposed. So every week that you arrive engaging in what are the elements of monitoring as opposed to cleaning the property is documented as what is ongoing impunity. The state is relying on it the same. And the entity is engaging in what is stalking in directed light, the same. The state is stalking under the light source, the same. The state is stalking with audible activity creation pursuant to my movement and operates my communication device, the same. All right. Engaging what is threatening me as I document them in their license plates, sounding helicopter activity, the same, which is why, again, Smart Janitorial, in particular, the people of the state, I'm going to prosecute. This is, again, another business. You're going to drain the pockets. A mom and pop company that's not going to stand. They're not going to be able to withstand this prosecution. And that's a matter of justice. Great. Fine. You don't deserve to exist. This is entirely un-American. If justice requires that you cease to exist as a company, which you're actually a terrorist masquerading as a company in America, so be it. I'm going to drain the pockets. You're not going to be treated any differently than any other terrorist. You're going to be published as the terrorist that you are, hiding under a company name, acting in concert with the state that's stalking helicopters. How can I help you?
Oh, hi. How are you? Last Wednesday,
Audible activity, light activity creation. I'm sorry?
Last week I called you and I got an application.
You got an application how?
You give me an application.
You mean through email?
Oh.
I did give you an application. You mean through email?
Email. Maybe you give me application.
How can I help you?
No. My friend. Okay. Okay, you said last week I called.
Okay, this is monitoring in concert. I need one moment, okay? I'll be right with you. Can you close my door, please?
Okay.
Thank you. No, you can step outside and I'll be right with you. This is P.O.C. And Smart Janitorial is monitoring with them while they open the door. The light source is over me. and the conversation is audible activity, and they're all aware of what I'm documenting. Smart Janitorial is monitoring. It's also, while the demons engage in such, all they're doing is monitoring. It's a show of hostility, and that hostility is going to be directly relevant to how long these third parties who are here, license plate 8HKA162, they're going to federal prison for their systematic engagement in federal group stalking and monitoring. And this is an ongoing act of hostility while you go out of your way to come into my office, which are all elements of monitoring, light source over me, and doing so in concert while they know that I'm documenting them right now. So like I said, you're dealing with, first of all, spirits. And second of all, you're talking about what is criminal conduct in concert with LAPD, who's heavily stalking in helicopters. That's all they're doing. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of that. And as I've documented them on an ongoing basis, Smart Janitorial engaged in federal stalking, calling Isaac, who's calling on the business phone while I was documenting the P.O.C. at approximately 12:35 yesterday afternoon. That's Title 18 criminal conduct. Sending emails that's relevant to ongoing surveillance. Sending emails that's relevant to Title 18 criminal conduct. He's also documented group stalking in concert with LAPD. Isaac's going to federal prison. Okay. In addition to what are the employees that are arriving to the license plate, and they're monitoring while the entity comes in and asks me questions. Let me be clear. All of them are group stalking. This is why you have prospects such as Emiko and her son, group stalking under the fake son, crossing path while they drive by apartment number 1818, and engineer light moves all across the apartment building. They're monitoring together. Smart Janitorial's group stalking in here. These demons are hostile. So are the demons stalking in helicopter. They're all hostile. And that's an act of hostility. All you're doing is group stalking in a specific environment because you're mad about what you're listening to me expose about you. You're a psychopath in doing so. And that's why you're going to federal prison for even longer. Under no circumstances seeking to stop or lessen the criminal conduct, the demon possessed which serve the public safety concern, they engage in more of it. They engage in more and more of it. That's directly relevant when the people of the state, license plate 8HKA162, third party is also recognized as Smart Janitorial, who's subject to civil and criminal prosecution, and then the actual employees are going to federal prison. Okay, and they are monitoring while third parties come in my office. It's audible activity, relevant positioning. Smart Janitorial is monitoring to all of that. So they're literally on the grounds every Wednesday and Friday, facilitating terrorism with the people of the state and the state. All right, they're doing the same thing that the people of the state are doing in the laundry room, slamming machines. They're doing it under the guise of, oh, we're cleaning the laundry room. It's same criminal presence, same stalking with audible activity creation, same amplification, same concerted conduct with the entity that's stalking heavily in helicopters. There's no deviation from the P.O.C. whatsoever, which is also why they're going to federal prison. And the ongoing hostility, the ongoing retaliation, the ongoing acts of aggression that's documented, it's directly relevant for enhancement to federal charges and sentencing. Like I said, this is the ongoing cycle that the matter of public corruption that's being exposed is requiring. So it's requiring what are all the ways in which I'm advocating and speaking out as to what the people of the state are doing. And this is all occurring on the watch of speaker companies. Speaker companies is a third party threatening the life of an American citizen, enabling a government and an entire population to come onto the grounds and act not only with the employees of that illegitimate company that is speaker companies, okay, not only in relevant position, but also via communication devices on this computer, on this phone. This is exactly what the people of the state are facilitating as an employer, and the whole corporate office is going to federal prison for it. All right, it is again 11:32. So let me just show you the light source that is indeed over my head while Smart Janitorial is on the grounds engaging in criminal facilitation, systematic basis. Hi, how can I help you? Fine. This is P.O.C.